The reality is that today, it's not everything is going to be difficult. Why? Two things are driving it. In 1694, when they started the banking system, when the goldsmiths started the banking system, everything was gold promissory note, then fiduciary issue, then gold standard, then semi-gold standard. Now, you have what you call 100% of money that was saved was 100% of money that was lent, apart from the liquidity ratio and cash ratio. That was what we call financial intermediation. But before 1929 and after 1929, we had a growing level of financial disintermediation, which means the amount of money outside the banking system and the amount of financial activity outside the banking system was more than activity within the banking system. And guess what? In 2008, 10 years ago yesterday, when Lehman Brothers, Bear Stearns, it was disintermediation activities, including subprime mortgages, that brought down the banking system. It wasn't the banks that brought down, it was those CDSs, or whatever they those swaps, right, that brought down the banking system. Those off-balance sheet activities. So we are getting there now. And the Central Bank made it very clear, oh yes, to get your CRR, you have to go and issue a commercial paper for or something for 7 years, 2-year pass, and all of that. Thanks, but no thanks. Poison chalice. Now, what it does tell you is that in the last 6 months, Dangote did 115 billion naira program. Nigerian breweries did a program. All of these bonds have been issued all over the place. And look at the use of proceeds to pay down banking lines. Rights issue, pay down banking lines. Two things. One, if they come back to borrow from you, they borrow, their negotiating power is different. They base on it. Secondly, market debt is more efficient than bank debt. So what's going to happen 12 months from today or now? All the corporate names, quality names, will pay off their debt. So you're going to be stuck there. The government that was borrowing from you is going to reduce their borrowing. Their rates are down. They'd rather than borrow outside and pay you down. So what are you going to do? You have no choice but to look at the SMEs, MSMEs. In any case, it is the Nigerians' money that are in your deposits. Why shouldn't the assets be to the same Nigerians? If you love their money to take it as deposit liabilities, then you must love their risk to lend to them and look for a way of lending to them. One, to make them prosperous, and two, to make your economy grow. Now, let's look at what we are seeing here. For MSMEs, biggest exposure, 54% of all the activities in trading, followed by manufacturing, followed by agriculture, transportation and storage, accommodation and food services, and other services. The sector is interest rate sensitive, employment elastic, and it's critical to national growth. There are no or low barriers to entry, which means that you've got to know the business. You find that those women who are selling out there in the markets, they know their business. They are making money, they are profitable. That's why they go there every day. And believe me, they are much wealthier than you and I. Their business model is very simple, and it's from father or mother to grandmother to mother, mother to daughter. And there's a place where I come from called Ajimele. Ajimele is a village where they make palm oil, and you can never see that type of palm oil anywhere in this country. Because if you put it in a bottle, you can see through. And if you keep it 12 months later, it's still in the same state. It does not congeal in any form. It's very expensive, and it's made in a crude. Nobody knows the technology. And the reality is that when you drive to Ajimele, you are forced to park your car somewhere. And some little girl will come to you and say, what do you want? You want, I want, okay. She will take your container and she will go walk through all the corners and they end up in a hut somewhere. And then you leave it and then they will ask you to come back maybe the next day or come in a few hours. Never will they let you know where and what goes into it. But you have to continue coming back. And it is always this, the girl that comes is the granddaughter of some grandmother who is in the hut, and the mother has gone somewhere and then comes back to take over from grandmother when the grandmother dies. And that's that technology and that business, I don't know how they do it. The palm oil, I've seen all sorts of palm oil refineries, but this is unique. And it keeps on getting more and more expensive. And they do it there, and they continue doing it. So this sector had great contribution. Notori brought in fertilizers, and the Anchor Borrowers Program and all these things. You can see that Agri, even in spite of the recession, Agri continued to grow positively. Only this last quarter did we have a 1%, not a decline, but 1.2% growth rate. It continues to grow because they benefit from seedlings, they benefit from the technology, IITA, they benefit from their old culture, they benefit from land preparation, and now they are wet leasing tractors. In other words, you don't have to buy the tractors. The tractors come, the guys will lease it to you, bring it, they repair it, and they prepare your land for you. And that's happening. And agriculture is going into just animal husbandry, aquaculture, and all of these other things that we are seeing. So what are we getting? We are getting soya bean, we are getting sesame seeds, we are getting ginger, we are getting cocoa, we are getting yam, and we are getting cassava, we are getting sorghum. And my guys were on channels this morning. We are doing 100 million tons of cassava. Look at something like production of honey. We have only 2% of the global production of honey with the bees and all of that. You could capture 20-30% of global production of honey, right? Credit to the sector was 6.2% higher at 3.41 billion naira in Q2, and over 40% of the sector activity is done on a small or medium scale business. That's agriculture. Trade, I've talked about. Trade had negative growth in Q2. And let's talk about trade. You know, you have this Chinese yuan, naira transaction. You have all these things that we talk about and a lot of hype. But one question that I put before every policymaker and regulator: who is a trader? What's the difference between a trader and a smuggler? And remember, we said these people are smart, smarter than you and I. So, yeah. So a smuggler looks at the exchange rate and looks at the custom duty. And he does his quick math and decides whether he wants to go buy a Form M and pay duty, or he wants to use the parallel market and pay under the table to the customs. So, policies that are helpful today, we have BOI financing, Anchor Borrowers Program, micro, small, and there are a lot of that. BOI is doing a lot of work. Central Bank is doing a lot of work. NISRAL is doing a lot of de-risking the system. But again, a lot of those things, there's a lot more upside, but at least they've started. One must give credit to these institutions and the courage of those behind it to do that. In the ease of doing business ranking, United Kingdom was 82.2 score, South Africa 64.89, Kenya 65, Sub-Saharan Africa as a whole 50.43, and Nigeria 54. So Nigeria was at the bottom of the pyramid. In terms of ranking, starting a business, dealing with construction permits, getting electricity, registering property, paying taxes, resolving insolvency, Nigeria ranks very low, but are trying. And regulators and policymakers have become combative rather than collaborative. But the lessons to be learned is that investment in good infrastructure has been able to boost contribution to SMEs. Development Bank in Indonesia has helped this, but the way forward, improve and simplify the access to finance and give longer tenors. Invest in infrastructure such as we know that that's a no-brainer. Train vocationally and technical skills. Facilitate market access and trade opportunities. Increase policy incentives to labor-intensive sectors. Simplify business registration process and services especially. The CBN cashless policy and financial inclusion should be intensified and not slowed down in any form. And the impact of these policies will be there'll be an influx of mobilization of domestic capital and international capital. Loans will be of longer tenor, require flexibility and restructuring of loans. Loans don't have to go bad, they can be restructured. Increase in the startups, young people are coming up with apps and more SMEs transitioning to larger enterprises, increased job creation, and higher average business profitability, and more taxes to be collected. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.